Hi, my name is Dorothy Pilati and I work in the Computer Science, Engineering, and Advanced Technology Department here at Del Mar College. I am the Computer Science Advisor, which means I mainly talk to students about programming and networking degrees, although we have a couple others as well, and I'll tell you about those here in a minute. We're here today to talk about what it takes to get into computer science. So if you have any questions, put them in on the chat on Facebook, and I will try to get to them as I can, but let's talk about computer science. So the first thing that I'm going to say is computers are everywhere these days. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they're so small that we carry them around in our pockets all day, you know, our phones basically. Our cars have computers in them. With the world being as crazy as it is right now with COVID-19, computers have become more and more important to everybody. It's how we see our friends and family, how we connect with people through, you know, videos and chats and all kinds of different things. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is just a little bit about the employment outlook for technology moving forward. And all of the career data that I'm going to show you today comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the employment outlook with the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And this data is specific to Texas. The technology employment is projected to grow faster than the average for all occupations, which is wonderful for anyone interested in this field. We're looking at, they're projecting we're going to add 557,000 new jobs in those 10 years between now and 2026. That's huge. And the demand for these workers, the big emphasis lately is on cloud computing. As we know, a lot of things are stored in the cloud these days, whether that's photos from like your phone or data from work so that those of us working from home right now can get to all our stuff, or big data, which is when you aggregate things from lots of different resources, like when they pull all the data from Facebook or Amazon or Google. Somebody has to figure out how that's all going to work together and what that's going to look like. And then information security. Security is so important. I'm sure we've all heard about issues when, you know, there are data breaches at various companies or banks. And so we need people who can secure those networks, secure your data. And these are just really big things that I don't think are going to go away anytime soon. They're probably just going to become more important. Here in Del Mar College, in our department, we have 4 different options for the programs for computers. We have computer programming or computer information systems. These are similar degrees right now, and we're looking to diversify them. But basically, they're both about programming. We have Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. We have Network Administration and Information Security. That security is so important, like I talked about a minute ago. And we have Web Development. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about these programs and some of the potential career options that you could have going into one of these fields. So first up is computer programming. So if you're going to get an associate's degree in computer programming, you're looking at basically doing the first 2 years of a computer science or programming bachelor's degree program at a university. That means it's going to be a lot of your core classes as well as some major requirements. Our particular program is what we call Field of Study Complete. That means that all of your major requirements, like you're seeing on the screen, things like your programming classes, the calculus, and the physics, those should all transfer to the public schools in Texas, because this is what's been set forth by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And then, of course, you'll have to do all your core classes as well, because that's important anytime you're going to transfer. And if you want to be in programming these days, if you want that job designing software, writing code, even if we're talking about game programming, you know, video games are big, you're going to need that strong math background. You're going to need to be detail-oriented. But most importantly, you're going to need that bachelor's degree, because that's what jobs are looking for these days in a programmer, is that you have that eventual bachelor's. So the great thing about going to Del Mar College first and starting with us is that by the time you finish your bachelor's, you'll have 2 degrees instead of just 1. And when you're going up for internships against other students while working on your bachelor's, you can show those potential employers, hey, I already have 1 degree, I'm just working on my 2nd, so I already have something that says I know about programming. Some potential career options for programming. You could do computer engineering. Now, I will say that computer engineering is kind of a combination between programming and electrical engineering, which we also have in our department. And so that's a little bit different. You could go into research sciences. Now, to get into something like that, you'll probably need further degrees, like maybe up to a master's or a doctorate even. You could be a CIS or IT manager, obviously a programmer. We've got database administrators. They make pretty good money. Those are some great jobs that you can do across several of our different programs. Game developing or game programming, which we actually have a game certificate in our department at Del Mar, but you'll need more than just the certificate to get into that industry. And then software development. And I see that we have a question, so I'm going to check that real quick in case it pertains. So good question. The first one is, do these degrees transfer to A&M Corpus? And the short answer is yes. The programming one especially is designed for transfer, and we work very closely with A&M Corpus to make sure that that transfer is as seamless as possible. They accept all of those courses on our computer programming degree as long as you've got the requisite grades. So if that's something you're interested in, I can certainly talk to you more about that, or you can even check with A&M Corpus and they'll tell you the same thing. The other question, I hope that answered that. The other question that I have so far is, what about cybersecurity? Is that a focus on any degree? Absolutely. So cybersecurity and information security are basically the same thing. And I'll be talking about the networking and information security degree here pretty shortly. So I'll be able to hopefully answer more of those questions then. But you can, you know, with the security field, you can start out with us and transfer to a bachelor's just like you could with programming or anything else. But give me a second and maybe I'll answer your question when I start talking about that. So before I get to networking though, let me go to Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. And we actually have 2 different ways that you can do GIS in our department. We have both a transferring Associate of Science type of degree, and we have an Associate of Applied Science degree, which is what they call occupational. Just that means that it's built to allow you to go directly into the job field. So with GIS, it's really wide-ranging. You can do so many things with GIS. It can work with a lot of different industries. You can do just GIS things specifically, or you can work in all kinds of industries with things like city planning, search and rescue, working with engineers and scientists, and I mean, the applications are endless. I know somebody who is a geophysicist, and she works with GIS, tracking things, working with like earthquakes and those kinds of things. It's really a fascinating, wide open field that a lot of people tend not to be aware of, although it's been around for quite a while. So I see that there's a question about GIS and drones. So GIS is not specifically about drones, but they are becoming more prevalent in that field. And we even have some courses in our GIS program that deal with drones. That's our UAS program. And if you want more information about that, you would want to talk to JJ Nelson. You can find his contact information on our website. If you can't find him specifically, feel free to contact me. My contact information is on the website as well, and I can direct you to him because he's the one who knows the most about the drones and the GIS program in general. One of the great things about our Associate of Applied Science degree for GIS is that you're required to do an internship before you can graduate. Now, this is true of all of our Associate of Applied Science degrees. They all require some kind of internship that has to do with the things that you learned while you were studying. That internship can turn into a job with that company if they're, if they have the space to keep you. If not, you've got some great real life experience doing this work, which hopefully will translate into another job if that place couldn't keep you. Here's some potential career options for GIS. And again, all of this career information is taken from the Bureau of Labor Statistics website within the last year. So cartographers and photogrammetrists, GIS specialists. Again, GIS people work a lot with databases, so database administrator is another potential option here. And then, of course, surveying and mapping technicians. GIS is really a lot about analyzing data and digital mapping. And so if that sounds interesting to you, GIS is a great place to go and start looking for a career. Just be aware that it does have the potential to be an outdoors kind of job. So if you like outdoors, that's fantastic. Outdoors and technology, you're there. But if you don't like being outdoors, especially in this South Texas heat, you might consider going in a different direction because it's really going to depend on the job that you're asked to do as to how much you'll be outside. And I think I'm going to go ahead and move on to network administration and information security now. So back to that person who asked about cybersecurity, this would be the degree that you would want to look into if cybersecurity is what you want to do. It's low on the core courses and high on the major requirements, and it's a very, very hands-on degree, one of our more broad ones. And I mean, you're learning things about servers and routers and switches and how to deal with both large and small networks, setting them up from the ground up, dealing with existing networks, firewalls, how to secure, a network, secure data, databases, dealing with MySQL, virtualization in an increasingly virtual world. I mean, lots and lots of different things. It's definitely one of our more broad degrees. The great thing about this is that it's one of those Associate of Applied Science degrees, so you can go right into the job field after you complete this, once you've done your internship, or you can transfer into a bachelor's program at a school that has what's called a BAS degree, which is something that if you're interested, you can contact me and I'll talk to you more about, because it's just a little complicated, but not difficult. So this program, basically, you can get a job anywhere that has an IT department. And let's face it, who doesn't have an IT department these days? I mean, here at Del Mar, we have an IT department, a decent sized one. Everybody has them, from small mom and pop shops need an IT guy or girl, all the way up to, banks and governments, agencies, and the city and the county. And I mean, it's endless. And we help teach you the things that get your foot in the door. In fact, the things that you'll learn from us will enable you to take 4 of the basic IT certifications out there that are desirable in the workforce, and that with the combination of your degree and one of those certifications will really help you get your foot in the door, if nothing else does. It's just a great program. And as with any program that I talk about today, you have to be passionate about it, because even though these are good jobs and the jobs aren't going away and they, are decent salaries, if you don't enjoy it, it's not worth it. So make sure that this is something you have a passion for. And sometimes the only way to do that is come and take a class. And you'll find out pretty quickly if that's something you're going to like or not. Here are some potential career options for networking and information security. So again, CIS or IT manager. Now, that will often require you to go through that bachelor's degree because it's a manager position. You could be a network architect and design the networks. You could be a support specialist for either networks or users. You could be a systems analyst. Again, a database admin. All these areas require some database knowledge, so you can further that ambition with any of this. You could be a security analyst. Now, I won't say that you can get that as soon as you graduate, that kind of money or that specific job, but that's something that you could work up to. You could be a networker and computer systems admin. That's something that our students definitely can get into. We have several students who've become admins. They're great jobs, and people always ask me, well, what is the money like, or what am I going to be doing with this set of skills I've learned, since they are a little more broad? And to that I say it really depends on where you end up getting a job. So if you get a job with a company that has a really large IT department, then you're probably going to be doing a couple specific things. Maybe you take care of the network, maybe you take care of all the cabling and the servers, maybe you deal with traffic, the network traffic, or watching for security risks. If you get hired by a company that has a smaller IT department, then you're probably going to be doing a little bit of everything, maybe even some things you weren't initially trained for that you'll have to learn about on your own, because anything in computers requires constant updating of your skills and making sure that you are keeping abreast of all the new things coming in the technology field. So the next area that I'm going to talk about is web development. Now, web development is another one of those associative applied science degrees we have, so it includes an internship that you're going to have to do. With web development, you're learning about building web pages, both the front end and the back end of a website. So you're going to get some of that database knowledge. You're going to do some designing. This one is probably the most creative of our degrees because you actually get to do some design and creativity for those web pages. You're also going to learn about programming because overall, web development has a lot to do with programming these days, more so than in the past, because it's easy to go to a website like Wix or GoDaddy and anyone can throw a simple web page up right now. But if you really want to know how to do it well, how to make it look professional, and how to make sure that it's safe and that and you can do things like have products in a database and do transactions and make it really usable, then you may want to go for a degree. I mean, you'll be much more qualified that way, and it'll look really nice. There are a couple career options with this, not as many as with some of the others because web development is fairly specific. But again, you could be a database admin, you could be a web developer, and you can also probably work your way into some programming because, like I said, overall these days, web development has a lot to do with programming. And that's each of our programs just in a kind of in a nutshell. Let me see if we have any other questions right now. I don't see any, so I hope that I've answered your questions. And if you have any other questions or you're interested in getting into the computer science department and working with us on one of these programs, please feel free to contact me. I would be happy to work with you and get you the information that you need. And I hope that you all have a good day, and please stay safe. Bye.